direction.
Absolutely.
So it's true, and it's sad if people overwork because management hasn't got the strategy right. So we have to sit back, I always recommend, take 2 days off a year, bring your team up the mountains, up the hills, and talk customers, talk competitors, talk analysis, and spend time using social media and all the other research tools to research and get insights and analysis and figure out what the unmet needs are, as you rightly say. Figure this out, then work your strategy out, and get that short, tight piece right. And everything else you'll spend less hours on. So time invested up front in getting the strategy right makes all the hard operational stuff less time consuming and more efficient. So you get more bangs for your buck. You save time, you save energy, and you boost results from good analysis and proper strategy, as opposed to making those sloppy errors and then working harder.
Touch on what Paul and Graham said. How I see it is you got to bridge it. You can have your strategy, you can have your tactical plan, you can have your goals, objectives, your KPIs, and running through the whole policy deployment. On the other hand, you have Graham saying you have such a lot of download and tabs, such a lot of information downloaded on a tab that you're full on. Now, there are two things here. How I see it is, as much as you have your structured vision, mission, goals and objectives and a tactical plan, do you have the right structure in place? You might have the right structure. Do you have the right people in place with the right skill sets and the right knowledge and the right experience and the expertise? And also, are they equipped with the right skills? Have they got the right expertise and the knowledge, and have we equipped them with the right skills to do the job? And therefore, if they are the right people, you should not be in either predicament.
Well, you made my task easier because I was leading on to that next question. See, I find it quite amusing on one side. I'm sort of sometimes annoyed on the other side because last week, yes, I was just having a chat with the former chairman of Unilever Sri Lanka, Mr. Amal Cabral. And he said, this is crazy. Today I was given a CV of a young guy, and he was just 22 years of age. And he had his master's. And I asked him, well, how do you get your master's at 22? He said, well, I got it online. Paul, don't you think this is a bit crazy? I don't know. My view is that, you need an evolution. And as Chelan rightly said, if you get the wrong skill set, you can have your best plans going through the window. And now we see people coming out, getting qualifications, but without knowledge.
There is a trend, certainly in the UK and Ireland, there is a trend towards CVs, successful CVs and applications by young people. They look for experience. Now, how can you have experience at the age of 21 or 22 with or without a master's, say a first degree, an undergraduate degree? You can get experience is the answer. And there is a trend, most students I see now are trying to get some experience, either taking on voluntary work or getting together as a group and taking on some real work for helping their local theatre, maybe charging a small fee, but they're getting experience and they're going out of their way to get experience. So without some kind of work experience, even some will graduate and just go into and get paid nothing, and it's quite an issue that young people should get paid nothing for a period of 6 months or whatever, which is morally probably wrong. But they have to have the experience. A CV without some experience isn't worthwhile. So I always recommend find a charity, find a Boy Scout club, find your local church, find whatever it is, and do some work for them. If you're in marketing, do some marketing work for them. Do some online work for them. Get experience in it, and you're rubbing shoulders. You're expanding your network anyway. Personally, I always recommend they can join the Great Sportsmanship Program, my non-for-profit program. Right, which basically allows people to experiment and use marketing techniques to promote sportsmanship and values amongst young people. And that looks good on the CV as well. So I would say get experience, work experience, some manner, shape or form, make it a priority. Try and earn some money if you can, if you're a young person doing it. And secondly, there is a trend towards apprenticeships. And there's a route in the UK now where they promote you can kind of go off to university, do a degree, or you've got another choice of taking an apprenticeship in financial services, in all sorts of other skill areas, partly government funded, so that you, like the old apprentice skills, the passing on of skills from the expert to the young person, we're kind of losing that. But in the digital era, there are apprenticeships emerging now where people are learning the skills from more senior people, getting paid something, and also getting qualifications as they go through it. So they will come out with a diploma or a degree through an apprenticeship scheme, which is quite an innovative approach in the UK, which is very popular now.
Graham, if you could add to what Paul and Chalan also stated about skills, do you think that the companies are also responsible in terms of recruiting the people with the correct experience levels, correct skills, or just trying to go by the qualification alone?
Yeah, Michael, companies being responsible is, one part of it. But I think the smarter companies would really know. I mean, let's put it like this. There is education open, right? Education will give you the width of knowledge. You'll also get some depth. But eventually, playing the matches in the company. I mean, this is, you got to go in and you to start playing the real game. So what qualification would give you that much more experience that would simulate the actual situation, I guess, is eventually what it would mean, what would give it that edge. So I think companies have to also look at it from the point of view of how, as attitude, skill sets, just not getting too carried away with a string of qualifications, because everyone will have it now. I mean, you have access. There are very, very smart people out there, but eventually, what you can bring in terms of, as you were saying, you need an experience, obviously. So what you can bring in, how you can bring it in and turn a situation around and really bring it in and into a company. Is something that companies would have to figure out. They'll have to go in, HR will have a big job to play, and see, what's the balance between qualifications and the ability to come in and actually perform, which is two different things.
So do you see HR playing that role in company? That's my
I think HR does,
all right.
in what I've seen, but I guess, it is becoming more and more a challenge as well. But I'm sure HR does do that now. I mean, your interview is not, you're not just going to get in someone who has a string of qualifications and put him in there. There is a process. We're also looking at what type of leadership ability is coming through, what type of drive, all that counts as part. Paul was saying a thing like the sportsmanship, what type of extracurricular has been done. So it's not all just an MBA or just a qualification.
Levanta, to add to what?
Well, I think it's partly the companies are also responsible, the management is also responsible, because I find very interesting, I mean, kids who come out in today's context, it's not what it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. They are exposed to various things, digitally, non-digitally, and also the programs that are run in schools right now, these days, are skewed towards, I mean, they do leadership programs, they train them on several skills, and when they come out, it's, I mean, you've got a talented bunch of people, but what do management do to these guys? How to train these guys to take up responsibilities, to give them that confidence levels? That is something that I really believe in. I think giving your workforce that confidence to go out, do some job, that's all right. You make mistakes. I mean, you learn from your mistakes. But the only thing is, don't repeat it. So, sorry.
I could also say that lifelong learning applies to me as much as any young person. And I am now personally learning more than I ever did with my first degree or my second degree or at any stage back in my earlier years. That I spend more time learning stuff now because in my field in particular, it's radical change in digital marketing and there's so much to learn. So I would say to embrace the idea of constant learning, lifelong learning, to keep upskilling in our respective fields. That's an ongoing thing we need to kind of find time to do. And it was interesting at the event yesterday, it was interesting seeing your company Synergy Training actually presenting the Student of the Year award for that bright young lady. And I asked her afterwards, I said, was it very difficult for you? Did you find it hard, being the student of learning all that knowledge? Her answer was great. It was very refreshing. And I haven't heard somebody say that for a long time. Her answer was, no, it was great. I was really interested exploring these new areas, as opposed to people doing, I've got to do the qualification, more hours work, just get the qualification. They're forgetting to enjoy the moment, the experience of learning new stuff, how exciting it is, the joy of learning, as opposed to the tedium, hard work of ongoing learning. She was refreshing. It was great to hear that. And I guess we have to try and inspire young people and ourselves, remind ourselves, that it's a constant life of learning. It's and now more than ever before.
Yeah, because to take her as an example, we always encourage the student to prepare their assignments for a real company.
That's right.
Yeah.
For a real company. So it's an experience for them. So there are students from GlaxoSmithKline, MS, David Pierce group of companies. They prepare their assignment for the company. So it's an experience for them. They go to the manager, they say, can I have a bit of information on this area? That is not confidential, of course. And so that's what she meant. And today she's the ABM, Assistant Brand Manager of Odell.
Right.
She was picked up because of that assignment that she produced.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. It has been enlightening. Let's go for a break and we'll return. Welcome back. In Sri Lanka, we are planning to have this sportsmanship program of Paul's. And today he'll be addressing a few hundred students. The concept is very simple. You have a young guy, a young girl. He or her has a story to tell. They put it up on Paul's website, and it's linked globally. Sharan, what is your take on getting young people of Sri Lanka interacting with others in different parts of the world, sharing their stories, and they create their own book over a period of time? So Paul Smith, or P.R. Smith's Global Sportsmanship, the next version of it will be created probably by a group of Sri Lankan youth, Indian youth, and youth from UK.
Michael, for me, that's interesting. That sheer word of what you said was, creating your own book from a Sri Lankan perspective and bringing sport into change management or mind agility, I would say. That actually helps. It's a game changer. We've done this. We've been there, but not at the level you want to do it. We do it at factory level, at manufacturing level, in a small way as MAS. But for you, for us, if you can do this in Sri Lanka and take it to make it a global aspect, I think that's fantastic. It can be done.
Gentlemen, your thoughts? We are just doing it as a pilot project, but we just want as many people as possible to take up this program, and it's a free thing. You just
it helps.
100 words.
Just opening it out. You're opening the world out to someone.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just saying, giving them a sense of identity and saying, I'm a part of, as you're saying, from small Sri Lanka.
Exactly.
You're networking,
And there are young guys, at every level of the food chain, as in at lower levels of our strata, who actually are doing fabulous in sport. It's just that they don't have the infrastructure or the economics to actually elevate. By doing this, probably someone might pick them up and even elevate them to national level or Olympic level or Asian Games for that matter.
We want to take it a step further, Charan, but with sportsmanship.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a sportsman per se. For
Right.
example, a young guy in office, he does something that helps a colleague, and that's sportsmanship.
Spirit of it.
Spirit of it.
So sharing the spirit of it,
So
yes.
that's his little story.
Right.
I helped this young guy who came into work today for the first time. He was lost at work, and I calmed him down, took him to the canteen, had a coffee with him.
Right.
So that's his story for the day,
Yeah.
and that's what Paul wants to create. So you don't have to be a sportsman per se.
Right.
It's built on the
Am I right?
principles of Olympism, which is basically the development of man in both mind and body. So games, and the word games is not competition, it's games, people having fun. So the essence of sportsmanship, the values of friendship, enjoyment, respect, fair play, these sort of integrity, these sort of values demonstrated on any sports field at any level, professional level. We saw enjoyment with the Australian team having fun with a comedian on the pitch before the World Cup cricket final. Then you've got the great Kumar himself who talks about cricket being something that unifies the country. And one of the essences of Olympism is about the competing in sport rather than war. That's a principle. Another one is for young people from different nations to make friends. And that's profound. And that's the ancient Olympics. And to take that sportsmanship.
That helps. Teamwork.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
And so for
Leadership
young people
skills,
to share their
yeah.
stories from Sri Lanka to UK to
that's right.
UAE, back to Ireland and so on. In fact, we will be doing some webinars where we'll connect schools from different countries at the same time. It is not for profit, and it is to generate several things. One is you mentioned self-esteem is low, it's difficult for kids these days. So it builds their self-esteem and a sense of identity, which they're losing. Certainly in the West, they're losing the family breakdown and the social breakdown. So it brings back a sense of pride for a sort of global citizenship, which we badly need today with what's going on in the world.
Self-confidence, you know.
Self-confidence, self-belief, and self-enjoyment of the moment, instead of the rush, and forget. So we say to young people, don't forget to enjoy themselves. And we'll be telling people about the Australian, it's on the greatsportsmanship.org website, is that story now, and on the Facebook page, Great Sportsmanship, is the story of the Australian one. I will be writing about Kumar and the great stuff that he's done for Sri Lanka. This is the essence of sportsmanship, to get young people believing in themselves and believing in each other and the teamwork, and it does translate back into the work environment as well.
I think that might I'll just go back a step back to school level and where most of the sports keep budding. The problem that I see is the sportsmanship. They've gone to a level that they see on TV, that they see on many international arenas, and they've lost this word sportsmanship.
Camaraderie.
Exactly. I guess most of you are familiar with what you've been doing in school, and then most of your friendships have developed from there.
Absolutely.
I've got friends whom I played with back in school days. We're best of buddies.
Friends for life.
Friends for life, absolutely. But do you see it now? That is what is a burning question. They compete with each other. That's it. That's gone out of the window. So how can we build it? I think it's a great idea, fabulous idea.
And a relationship that's built through competition is so much more healthier, because you strive for something. You're at wits and you're fighting hard, but you come out and you unite. The world is getting harder, competition is getting harder, everything is getting that much tougher. So this dimension has to come in. It has to come in.
Graham, listening to Damita, Dimanta as well, I'm sorry. Globally, the group sport is actually on the decline. And individual sport is actually more relevant
because the culture
now.
of, it's an I world.
Absolutely.
Because people are, it's again technology.
Of course, golf is on the decline, but then you have the yoga, the cycling. That's really, booming for globally. Not the team game, because they're finding it difficult to get people together at one given time, because each one's so busy with their own thing, doing their own thing.
You mentioned lifetime friendship. It's fantastic, that essence, because when I say to kids, you play against you might be banging off each other, but you shake hands at the end of the game, and if you meet that person 10 years later, 20 years, 30 years, did you play for that? Did you? And suddenly that friendship ignites. In the book, the Great Moments of Sportsmanship book, we've got a story at the back of it where friends got together 30 years after a game. I've got another one 40 years after a game. I've got another one 60 years after a game, where Ireland and Wales played against each other, and 60 years later they brought back the players who were still alive, and it was like they were the best of friends. And there is that lifetime connection, which is really beautiful to see. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be having this program, and we would like even young people in companies to get on, because it's just a click away. You just get on, tell your story, and you're with PR Smith, the sportsmanship program. Are we keeping a limit on the word count so that it will be?
Well, the Facebook is you send in your story, post it up there any way you want on Facebook, Great Sportsmanship. So as with Facebook, we suggest keep it 50 words or 100 words. You can put a link to a video clip or an article if you want. We then pick the best ones. We will then put onto the blog, which would be 600 words, sort of proper with the video, pictures, and all the rest of it properly written. And we will always credit whoever sent us the story. We credit them on Facebook, and we also credit them on the blog, greatsportsmanship.org. And if it goes into the book, everybody, as you'll see in the Great Moments of Sportsmanship book, everybody's listed in the front of it that sent us in stories. We say thank you to them. So we feel, particularly the next book, will be written by young people for young people. So send in your story to Great Sportsmanship. The Facebook page is the easiest, Great Sportsmanship, or tweet us on Great GT Sportsmanship.
We can take it one step further, probably set a target by next year to have great sportsmanship stories from Sri Lanka.
Great.
And we'll...
Sure, that'll help.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Different youth
Okay.
from Sri Lanka.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Are we going to put a number on this?
Will there be,
How many stories? How many
Is there an age limit, or it can be anyone?
No age
no,
limit.
no,
No age limit.
So that's really fantastic.
In fact, if I may, the most amazing thing I've discovered in telling stories to hundreds of school children around the world, and I generally ask to be given tough areas, where children have a tough time, and they've got a chip on both shoulders. In Ireland, we say they're nicely balanced with a chip on both shoulders. Is the milk of human kindness is alive and well today. And you're talking to these kids who are having a tough old time, and you tell them these stories, and their mouths are opening, and they're saying, did he really say that? Did he really do that? No, he really. And then you show them a video clip. I had 600 kids that broke into spontaneous applause. It was just beautiful. It's like something that's deep down inside us all is buried under pressure of this, that, and the other. But the idea of being really nice to someone, shaking their hand, being a friend, competing and wanting to win, but shaking the hand, being a friend, it's like, that's a nice thing to do. I never thought of that. And when they hear these stories, it's like the milk of human kindness that's been buried down there comes to the top again, and they see the world in a different place, a different way.
And I personally feel it helps from a company's perspective. You develop sportsmanship, the spirit of it.
Sure,
rather.
spirit, I'm sorry, yeah.
And people work. You may disagree,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it doesn't go to the level of animosity. You don't take it personal. You're all in a game. I mean, as Richard Branson says, we are in a sport.
Yes.
You come to work, you enjoy your work like you enjoy a game of tennis, badminton, squash.
Yes.
Paul, I'm just going through your latest book, and I know you sent me an email just before boarding the flight from Heathrow that you've not seen it yourself.
No.
Okay, that's great. See, what does this contain which is different to the early edition that you...
The SUSTAC planning book is this is SUSTAC, the planning system, basically, which in 4 minutes you can learn how to write the perfect plan, the structure. So then when you want to actually do it, it gives you all the free tips and techniques and tools, many of which are free online, to do your analysis or to develop your objectives or to begin to write your strategy, right through to the tactics, the action and control. So the e-version of this, you can be reading the book and just click on it and it takes you to a video or a tutorial or an example of something happening. So it's a condensed version. So I reckon, well, in 4 minutes you learn how to use SUSTAC, and then on a short flight, an hour and a half's worth of read, you've got the basics, and then after that you practice it. So it's a very simple system. It's been voted in the top 3 marketing models in the world by the Chartered Institute of Marketing in its centenary poll. So it is embraced, it is used around the world, and it took about 10 years to develop it. It's a very simple system. I think that's why people like it. It's a simple structure that can be used from business plans right down to marketing plans, digital marketing plans, advertising plans, even your own personal life plan.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's a simple system that does work.
So it's launched already in the UK, I believe.
Yeah, soft launch, because I've been rushing around so much. So the ebook is out just before Christmas. This printed version is just literally out, so I'm just delighted to see it here right now. So kind of a soft launch approach, yeah.
Thanks. Paul, just to close the show, you'll be leaving for UK tomorrow morning. And to the first group of people who you meet when you get back to uni or get back to your lectures in companies, how would you describe your experience in Sri Lanka? Your first visit to Sri Lanka, I mean, and you're here for a very short time.
I saw a miracle in Sri Lanka. I'm very lucky to be here at this point in time, to see a country that has come through difficulties, your own civil war, and find peace and harmony is absolutely fantastic. It's a privilege to walk the streets. My country, Ireland, has had its civil wars for many hundreds of years, and we've had a miracle happen. And it's not perfect, but it is a miracle. Sri Lanka is living proof of it. And I was taking photographs. There's a church here. There's a mosque there. There is it seems to me a harmony. I'm looking at the people on the streets. Everybody's busy, rushing, doing their thing, but there is a kind of a respect there there is that respect. There is that kind of spiritualness about this place, regardless of your particular religion, that I think is truly beautiful. I feel it. Apart from the beauty of the country and the kindness and hospitality of the people, but I'm very taken by the mix of different perspectives and philosophies that harmoniously work along the streets, on the sidewalks, and you see the little Buddhist statue there, and you see the church, the mosque, whatever. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful place to be. I couldn't sit long enough on the drives we've had. I could just do it all just looking around me. It's a privilege to be here.
I had a problem taking Paul out of there, because we went to go and we had to get back to Colombo to prepare for Monday's program, and he got immersed in this site in Tuk Tuk. It's Tuk Tuk Cafe in Dutch Hospital.
I've never seen that. Tuk Tuk Cafe, is it?
Yeah,
It's wonderful.
1 minute by Tuk Tuk. It's overlooking the ocean, and it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Sat there, the sun was going down, the little fishing boats were going out. It was truly beautiful. All I could
Picture
think,
book.
picture book. If somebody said, where would you
Nothing would have
recommend
been
for
better.
a honeymoon, I would have to say, that's your spot. A dream spot. I hope we go back there very soon. It's beautiful, really beautiful. So I love Sri Lanka, and I will be singing its praises. And I hope, as I said yesterday, several industries, particularly tourism, should be a booming industry. You've got so much here, as well as you've got your local industry potential and the creativity, but the tourism one is one that screams out. But there is other work to be done as well. Ceylon tea has got to rise to greatness again. Markets are moving on, but I've fallen in love with Sri Lanka.
Thank you very much, Paul. It has been a pleasure hosting gentlemen, all of you. Thank you, Art Television, for the time and the association with this program, and we hope your support will be forthcoming to develop sportsmanship through Paul's great sportsmanship program over the years.